The girl was shocked to find out the old lady next door was getting married, and she was marrying a young man. Curious about what kind of man would fall for an elderly woman she never expected. On the wedding day, news broke that the old lady was going to jump off a building. The old lady looked blissfully happy, and calmly told her son not to worry, because her groom was waiting downstairs to pick her up. As soon as she finished speaking, the old lady jumped out the window without hesitation. But the girl clearly saw that there was no one downstairs, and what sent chills down her spine was when her own grandmother arrived and said that jumping out the window was the only way to see him. She also said she was next. That night, the girl and her mother were horrified to find the grandmother carefully dressing up, smiling joyfully while doing her makeup in front of the mirror. The eerie behavior made them feel uneasy. After several attempts to test her, they were surprised to find the old lady completely sane, speaking logically and confidently saying Tony would marry her next. The girl cautiously asked what kind of person Tony was. The grandmother replied with joy that Tony was her classmate at the senior college, young and handsome, attentive and humorous. He painted with her and kept her company, never minded that she was old. Hearing how real it all sounded, the mother and daughter decided to go to the school to investigate. Before leaving, they locked the grandmother in the room, afraid she might do something foolish. But after speaking with the principal, they learned that there were no young men at the senior college. The youngest student was over 60. To confirm further, the principal led them to the surveillance room to review the grandmother's classes. They were shocked to see the grandmother really did talk to someone named Tony. But the strange thing was, no such person appeared in the footage. That's when the mother and daughter realized Tony didn't exist. With nothing else to go on, they returned home full of worry. Just then, a message came in from the school's family group. Another old lady was also planning to marry Tony. Upon hearing this, the grandmother became furious, accusing them of locking her up on purpose, so others could steal Tony from her. She even threatened to end her life if Tony no longer wanted her. As the grandmother grew increasingly obsessed with Tony, the girl quickly explained that he wasn't real, but the grandmother insisted she had a photo of Tony. The mother and daughter rushed to unlock the door, wanting to see who Tony really was. The grandmother clutched her purse protectively, afraid they'd damage the photo. After repeated assurances, she finally took out the photo carefully. When the mother and daughter looked, the photo showed a handsome young man. They quickly sent the photo for identity verification, but the response came back that the person didn't exist in any system. At that point, other families started gathering to discuss what to do. A woman nearby suddenly got a call. Another old lady had just jumped. Now the mother and daughter were truly panicked. Every elderly woman claiming to marry Tony was jumping one after another. Yet after days of investigation, they still didn't know who Tony was. The girl promised her mother she would watch the grandmother closely, but before she could finish, someone shouted that another person was jumping. They looked up and saw it was their grandmother. They tried everything to stop her but failed. They heard her say it was too late, that locking her up had made Tony angry. The girl desperately tried to calm her down, but the grandmother said Tony didn't want her anymore, that everything was already over. In the critical moment, the girl suddenly shouted to call the police, because she finally figured out who Tony really was.